Our lead story tonight, the government said today for the first time that they have found 4 instances of the South Africa variant of the coronavirus and 1 case of the Brazil variant in India.
We have about 187 cases of these variants. All confirmed cases are quarantined. In India, the strain has been detected in 4 South Africa returnees in January 2021, 1 from Angola, 1 from Tanzania, and 2 from South Africa. All travellers and contacts have been tested and quarantined. A single case of variant strain detected in Brazil returnee in the first week of February 21. The traveller and contacts have been tested and quarantined.
जितने भी लोग यूके से आए उन सारे फ्लाइट्स में डिसएम्बार्केशन के बाद हमने 100% RT-PCR टेस्ट करवाए, अभी भी करवा रहे हैं, और उसमें जो पॉजिटिव पाए गए उनकी जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग हुई. तो आई थिंक ये जो स्ट्रैटेजी है इसका काफ़ी असर हुआ और इसके अच्छे परिणाम निकले, और संभवतः इसी प्रकार की स्ट्रैटेजी हम साउथ अफ्रीका और ब्राज़ील के फ्लाइट्स के लिए अपनाएंगे.
So let's go across to Vishnu for more on why exactly these new variants coming into India are a cause for worry. Vishnu.
Well, Sonia, it is worrying. Now, the numbers are still very small, and that's the good news for now, but it's worrying because these are considerably more infectious than what exists in India right now. So let's bring you some of the details. Now, remember, there are over 1 crore of the main cases which exist in India. That's what we have. But the UK variant, so-called Kent variant, it emerged in the month of September. It is 70% more infectious than the normal strain of COVID. There's also the South African one, which is 50% more infectious. So these are the concerns that we have as far as the UK variant is concerned. And of course, the South African and the Brazilian one are concerned as well. But let me give you a few more details. There are 187 UK cases presently, 4 South Africa cases and 1 in Brazil. This UK one is 70% more infectious. The South African one is 50% more infectious, and the Brazilian one is considered very infectious. We don't know how much. The standout feature of the UK infection is that it has a 30% increased risk of death. Now, what exactly works over here? So what we can tell you about what works is the standard strain that we have in India. All sorts of vaccines work. As far as the UK strain, we believe that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is effective. But in the South African case, the Oxford AstraZeneca, some reports suggest, is not very effective. And as far as Brazil is concerned, no evidence so far to suggest that vaccines don't work, but research is still pending.
An important point which the health secretary also made is about the checking, because remember, there are no direct flights coming in from South Africa or Brazil, but they're coming in via the Gulf. So we really need to look at how we can tighten our checks of travellers coming in so that we actually... Yes,
which
exactly.
Is so critical.
And genome sequencing to make it much, much tougher, really, because this is when we can actually stop it in the bud and, of course, scale up our vaccinations as well. And the good news, of course, is that we are under 10,000 cases overall. Now, that's, of course, a huge achievement. It's been happening over the last 4 weeks, coincidentally on Tuesdays. But there's still worries, for instance, in certain outbreaks. And today we are focusing on Mumbai and Maharashtra and Bengaluru. So Purva and Sonakshi join me now. So Purva, today, of course, some questions, because we know that in Mumbai, Chembur, for instance, is showing a very high rate of cases again now, and the Mumbai mayor's even warned of a possible lockdown, though she backtracked on that. But there is worry in Maharashtra and Mumbai.
Definitely. In fact, the CMO also has put out a release saying that if people do not follow the COVID protocols, then there is no other option but to resort to lockdown. So very strict words coming in from the CMO as well, and the CMO has directed all the district collectors and all the officials to be very vigilante about following these COVID protocols, because it has been brought to their notice that people are not following the COVID protocols as much as they were earlier, and that is also one of the reasons why COVID cases are going up. So the CMO has directed all the officials to do the contact tracing, at least 20 people of each patient who's been tested positive. After that, 20 people, immediate 20 people's contact tracing needs to be done. then during marriages or even any rallies or any public gatherings, the CMO has asked all the officials to make sure that the management of that particular place is following the
because I think
rules.
the message coming out of Maharashtra, in fact, it topped daily cases across India yesterday or on Sunday. The message coming out is COVID's not over. And let's go across to Bengaluru and Karnataka. Again, Sonakshi, the overall numbers are good. But in an apartment complex, over 100 people have tested positive. What are the details?
The details that we have been able to confirm by speaking to the BBMP commissioner, the joint commissioner and the medical officer who is investigating this is that at the moment people are at least 103 residents of the area have been tested positive in that apartment complex. And at the same time, how is it that this happened is because there were 2 marriage anniversary parties that took place in the society. This was confirmed to us by the medical officer who is investigating this. So there were 2 marriage parties, anniversary parties that took place, after which they saw a surge in the number of cases. Now when they saw the surge in number of cases is when they realized that they need to ramp up the testing. And when they ramped up the testing, the BBMP here, when they ramped up the testing, they found at least 103 as of this evening to be tested positive for COVID. The entire apartment, the society complex has been quarantined, which means it is a containment zone, and for precautionary measures, every resident of the area of the complex, has been
That's an important point there. Over 100 people testing positive after 2 anniversary parties. I mean, so really, is it worth it? COVID's not over. Get vaccinated first once vaccines open up. And of course, the government also looking at scaling up vaccinations, hopefully, because our percentage is still very, very low. Meanwhile, moving to the other big headline, we saw today visuals of tanks, tents, Chinese troops all moving back from Pangong in eastern Ladakh as the disengagement process continued. Indian tanks also moved back from that area. Let's have a look at these visuals of China moving back.
The footage here shows tanks from both sides moving away from one another on the south bank of Pangong. Chinese forces removing tents. A large number of Chinese soldiers walking down a hillside to trucks which are waiting to take them away. Chinese earth movers restoring the land in the area. In other words, removing military structures which had been set up, and tents also being removed. While the process of disengagement is well and truly on along the Pangong Lake, it's yet to begin in the other areas where Chinese forces have crossed the line of actual control into Indian territory. The government says talks for that will start within 48 hours of this round of disengagement having been completed. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Well, another big political headline is the BJP now engineering an Operation Kamal in Puducherry. But interestingly, this is just a month or so before elections scheduled in May. 4 Congress MLAs have quit. 2 have joined the BJP. So the Congress-led government is currently in a minority by 1 MLA. The Chief Minister, however, maintains the government is safe, though the LG, Kiran Bedi, says the situation is still fluid. Also, embarrassingly for the Chief Minister and the State Congress, Rahul Gandhi arrives there to address election rallies and meet workers tomorrow.
The Congress-led coalition government in Puducherry is in a crisis on the eve of Rahul Gandhi's tour to the Union Territory to chalk out strategy ahead of elections scheduled for May. The resignation of Congress MLA John Kumar on Monday, the 4th from the ruling party in 3 weeks, has pushed the Narayanasamy-led government into a minority. Congress had won 15 seats in 2016 and along with DMK's 2 MLAs and an independent had formed the government. Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi told NDTV it is a fluid situation. The resigned leaders have all headed to the BJP. Senior leader Nama Sivayam, for instance, was overlooked for the CM's post that went to Narayanasamy, who did not even contest the elections.
Analysts point out that the BJP is looking to strengthen its presence in the south if necessary with imports from other parties. For the Congress, it is embarrassing that this crisis should happen on the eve of Rahul Gandhi's visit to Puducherry. With Sam Daniel in Chennai, in Hyderabad, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
In tragic news coming in from Madhya Pradesh, at least 48 people have been killed in a bus accident in Satna and Madhya Pradesh. A bus fell off a bridge into a canal near a village in Siddhi district. At least 60 passengers were travelling in the bus, which was said to be overcrowded. Apparently, eyewitnesses say the driver had to take an alternate route, so he was speeding to make up time and then lost control and the bus fell off the canal fell off the bridge into the canal. The Madhya Pradesh government cancelled a cabinet meeting and various ceremonies in condolences for the loss of lives. The Prime Minister also tweeted his condolences, approving an ex gratia of 2 lakh each for the victims' families from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. Well, looking at the other big headline tonight, what's happening with the young activists who the Delhi police want to arrest? Well, one of them, Shantanu, has been given transit anticipatory bail by the Mumbai High Court. Also, an order on lawyer activist Nikita Jacobs' transit anticipatory bail plea has been reserved till tomorrow. The Bombay High Court has said that there can be no arrest of her till then. Meanwhile, a Delhi court has said that young Disha Ravi, who is currently in police custody here, must be given warm clothes. Her lawyer was given a FIR copy, and that Disha should be allowed to speak to her lawyer and to her family every day. The Delhi police, however, are now asking to interview Zoom to get information from the Zoom app on the Zoom call that these young people had, saying that this was a plot behind the Republic Day violence.
After young climate activists, the Delhi police is now probing the role of farmers in the toolkit case. Specifically, they are investigating who all edited or shared the open document that climate activist and icon Greta Thunberg tweeted, over which 22-year-old Disha Ravi was arrested.
किसान नेताओं का भी उस पर ये इंक्वायरी करेगी दिल्ली पुलिस. हम इसकी सिर्फ कंडेम भी नहीं करते, उसको चैलेंज भी करते हैं कि टूलकिट के साथ तो हमारा ये राइट है.
The police is focusing on a Zoom call. According to the police, 70 people were part of this a month ago. That was allegedly organized by the Canada-based Poetic Justice on the 11th of January. Police say this group is pro-Khalistan. They claim most people who took part in the Zoom meeting kept their identities hidden. Police has written to Zoom for more information of the call. A WhatsApp group was formed on 6th December by the name of International Farmers Strike. Disha has revealed many names during the interrogation, the police claim. After the controversial arrest of the young woman in Bengaluru and no lawyer of hers present at her remand hearing, a Delhi court has directed the police to provide a copy of the FIR and other documents to Disha's lawyer. Her lawyers and family can also meet her daily.
कानून ये उसमें 22 साल की उम्र का और 50 साल की उम्र में कोई उसमें डिफरेंस नहीं करती है और हमने सारी चीज को देख लिया. उसको अंततः कोर्ट में पेश किया गया.
Meanwhile, Nikita Jacob, a lawyer herself, had approached the Bombay High Court seeking transit anticipatory bail, and the High Court reserved the order for tomorrow.
Well, the Aurangabad bench of Bombay High Court has provided a 10-day transit anticipatory bail to Shantanu Maluk. The Delhi police has also assured that Nikita Jacob will not be arrested till the time the court orders come out. With Purva Chitnis in Mumbai and camera person Ashwini Mehra, I'm Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
Well, moving now to the other big story tonight, something which affects every Indian around the country. Fuel prices up again for the 8th day running. After protests in his state, the Meghalaya Chief Minister has cut fuel prices, the state share of it, but it's having a much larger impact. Sanket actually breaks down why we are paying so much for petrol and fuel. Sanket.
So we know that fuel is taxed, but how heavily is it being taxed right now and how much of it is actual cost? This is data from IOCL.com which we have sourced for Delhi. Why diesel is costly? Because 55% of it is taxed. You see that from the time of the lockdown to now, the percentage increase in diesel is 27.9%, but the actual cost of diesel that has increased is only about 6.25%. The central government of the taxes gets the lion's share, 68.87%, whereas Delhi state gets 27%, around 27.09%. On petrol, you actually pay right now on petrol, 60% of petrol in Delhi is tax. You are paying, there has been an increase in the cost by 28.3%. However, the actual cost of petrol has increased only 13.8%. The centre's share of the taxes has increased by 43.16%, whereas the state gets 39.35%. Now, of the total revenue that is collected on fuel as well as oil and petrol products, on your screen right now, who gets how much? So last year, the total revenue was 5,55,370 crores. The centre's share was 60%, the state's share was 40%. This year, of the provisional figures that we have sourced from ppac.gov.in, for the first quarter. The revenue is 2,37,338 crores. The centre's share in these provisional figures has gone up to 65%. States are getting 35%. However, a rider that these are provisional figures which can get revised later. So let's now also listen in to what the Bihar Chief Minister said on the fuel price hike.
दाम कम होने चाहिए ना सर?
अब दाम बढ़ा हुआ है, दाम तो न बढ़े कम हो ये सबको अच्छा लगेगा, लेकिन अभी तो बढ़ा हुआ है, सबको दिख रहा है.
And Assam cut prices last week because of the state elections. In Kerala now, rising fuel prices are becoming a huge election issue as well, as people who are already hurting from salary cuts and job losses now have to redo their budgets to actually factor in what's happening with these high fuel prices.
Radhakrishnan is spending 100 rupees more every day compared to a month ago to transport coconuts. On a weekly basis, he spends over 1800 rupees on transport. His profit now down to 500 rupees every day, which was already hit by 75% due to the pandemic. Petrol price is at 91.16 per litre and diesel at 85.66 rupees per litre in Thiruvananthapuram, up almost 6 rupees since the start of this year.
10 ചാക്ക് 500 കിലോ 500 രൂപ വാടകയായിരുന്നിടത്ത് 600 രൂപ കൊടുക്കും. ഇതിന്റെ വില ഇപ്പൊ കൂട്ടാൻ പറ്റില്ല, കൂട്ടിയാൽ കച്ചവടം കിട്ടൂല. അതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ അത് സഹിച്ചു പോകാനേ പറ്റും.
Near him, Srikantan sells a hot cup of tea and snacks at 8 rupees each, but says despite increasing costs, he can't afford to increase the price. Srikantan used to buy a non-subsidized cylinder meant for hotels at 1,250 rupees, now at 1,600 rupees.
1250 ഗ്യാസ് 1600 രൂപയാണ്. ഓരോ സാധനത്തിനും വില കൂടിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഉഴുന്നായാലും പരിപ്പായാലും മൈദയായാലും മറ്റു സാധനങ്ങളായാലും. ഒരു ആഴ്ച മുൻപേ എത്രയായിരുന്നു? 100-120 രൂപ. എത്ര ബില്ല് നോക്കി അറിയാൻ പറ്റും. ഇപ്പോൾ 10 രൂപ കൂടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്.
As Kerala gears up for assembly elections, UDF has raised the soaring fuel prices as a campaign point against the BJP-ruled central government and the CPM-led ruling front at the state.
We have the demand to the central government to reduce the customs duty, excise duty. We gave public in UDF period 617 crores as concession.
He is escaping the real issue. The real issue is the price hike done by the central government.
For most families, their income is far from what it used to be during pre-COVID times. And these soaring fuel prices may only mean a further decline in their income. With camera person SP Babu, Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
Meanwhile, Credit Suisse, the investment banking company, has upgraded India to overweight in the Asia-Pacific portfolio. Well, being overweight here is good because it says the sharp turnaround in the economy, coupled with a drop in COVID cases over the past few weeks, has led them to upgrade its stance of India in its Asia-Pacific model portfolio. India, Credit Suisse says, looks much better positioned cyclically and relative to the pandemic. Among other regions, Credit Suisse has downgraded China from overweight to market weight in their portfolio as it feels the most exciting period of China's economic recovery has passed. Well, the Sensex and Nifty ended Tuesday's volatile session on a flat note as gains in Reliance, Kotak Mahindra, HDFC and ONGC were offset by losses in ICICI Bank, Infosys, Axis and TCS and Hindustan Unilever. The Sensex ending slightly down but still above 52,000. The Nifty also slipping marginally by 1 point.